this is how an almost 59-year-old face looks. I wish I had worn sunblock. I wish I had discovered it before I turned 50. But this is it up close. And we don't often see ordinary faces of women these days on the socials that aren't filtered or, I don't have any Botox fillers. Whatever you do you, this is not a political statement in any way, but it's just not something that I do. Full confession, I did dabble in the early 2010s. And then I had one incident where like one eyebrow was higher than the other. And as she's doing it, she goes, you know what, you really need some,
it's a
some
slippery
stuff
slope
in your cheeks too. And it was this sort of light bulb moment for me where I went, if I start doing that, then there's no going back.
And I do think it's a slippery slope. I do.
It is. And I've seen a few friends of mine do that, and then it's boob jobs and tummy tucks and liposuction, and what are we trying to stop here? I'm not trying to stop anything from changing.
For some people, obviously, that really resonates. They feel like, me too, I feel seen, I feel heard, this is my person. And then there's the people going, how dare you trigger me? When it's actually about them, not about you.
Well, taking it as an insult, or some people took it as I don't care for myself and I don't care for my appearance. And of course I absolutely do, but I don't care what other people think about me.
I think that you can see different versions of yourself.
Yeah.
And how did we get here?
Yeah, menopause got me there. Menopause got me to a place where I felt more like myself than ever before. And that's been such a delightful discovery. I feel more like, I want to say childlike, but I don't think that's, I just feel more like how
Playful?
how I felt when I was younger, because my hormones ruled me for quite a long time. We've spoken about this before. And yeah, I've just found this joy that I felt years ago that got sort of hidden under layers of hormones and life.
I think that's probably music to a lot of women's ears, hearing that, and especially when they're in the thick of the transition. Perimenopause, a lot of women feel very triggered by that alone. I can't tell you the amount of women that will say, oh gosh, I hope that's not what this is. You're 40, babe. It is that. Like, it's undeniably, it's like trying to deny puberty. We're not sitting there going, oh gosh, could it be puberty when you're 16? This is, you've got acne. Could it be puberty? What a ridiculous thing to ask ourselves. We really deny ourselves of living in the moment and going through the phase and trying to figure out, how do I do this and embrace it rather than resist it? But there's a lot of resistance with aging.
So much. And what you said before, when I was 40 and starting to have a nervous breakdown and frozen shoulders and different things, I wish I had known it was perimenopause, because when you know what you're dealing with it, then you can go and find the knowledge and the resources to help you. But that was not my experience at all. I really struggled through that time. So I understand why women feel like that 16 years down the track from perimenopause. And it's a bit like giving birth, like it's all a bit of a blur now. What is really amazing is that there is so much more knowledge and there are so many more women out there talking about it, and there are so many more resources available. When I went to my doctor going, I think I'm going crazy, maybe I'm going through menopause, I didn't even know there was perimenopause.
Right.
I had no clue. Turns out either did she, because she's like, no, you're too young. Here, take these antidepressants. That's what you need.
And it's such a common story too for so many women. I think there's more information now and there's more education, and we're just talking about it now, right? I think I am that first generation to come through where there is these conversations. And maybe I'm part of the conversation. I can't figure that out yet.
I think you are.
Maybe that's part of it, but I don't know. So the real thing is talking about it more, right? It's more conversations. It's more Me Too moments, helping women connect with themselves. And maybe that would have looked different for you if you had have known to embrace that in your 40s rather than push against it, or even just be accepting, here's some antidepressants, you're apparently going crazy, which is not saying that people on antidepressants are going crazy, but that was kind of the mentality at that point in time.
Yeah. And I think too, the other really important thing that we don't address in women's health is being prepared for it.
Oh, yeah. That's so true.
Part of me sort of almost feels like it's too late if you get to perimenopause and you haven't been looking after yourself and you haven't got the tools and the rituals, the mental health support. I've got 2 boys, but this is something that I've always taught them, like from a young age, you need to look after your bodies now.
Yeah.
Because I ignored what the physio told me about my knees, and I ignored all the advice and did a lot of damage. I wonder if I had done all of that, if it would have been easier and if aging is easier for me.
You inspired me with something else I saw you talk about, and it's not an argument of what's right and wrong, especially when it comes to hormone replacement, but you were talking about not all women can take HRT. Not all women want to either. That's another thing that I say now. It's a choice, and you elaborated on that. Even if you could have taken it, you didn't. For whatever reason, it wasn't appropriate or it wasn't given to you. It wasn't recommended due to family history, I think, actually. Can you remind me what that post was about again? Or you don't remember?
No. Oh, no, I do, because there were a couple of posts that followed it.
Was there some hate towards it?
There was so much hate, and I've realised online it doesn't matter how many times you say something, people will hear what they want to hear, and what they heard was me judging them for choosing to do HRT.
Right.
What I was saying was, with the plethora of online social media doctors now saying HRT is the way, that's the only message I hear from them, to be honest. What I was saying in that post was HRT was not available to me. So my mother and my sister died from estrogen receptive breast cancer. And the morning of my sister's death, it's her birthday tomorrow.
Oh.
And she had passed away, and her oncologist came in, and he was a family friend, and we were standing there, and he looked at me and he said, if your sister got that same cancer now, I could have saved her life. Right. He said, that's how far the treatment has come. And then he looked at me and he said, under no circumstance are you to accept any HRT treatment. We just don't know. There's all different studies out there.
Yeah, there is. And some would argue opposite. And
And he said, I just don't want you to risk it. In my head, I've gone, it's a no-go for me. And at that time, any doctor I spoke to about it was like, we're not going there. At no point was I offered any alternative. Maybe you need to go and do this, or maybe you need to see a Chinese doctor. Off you go, take the antidepressants.
And I think that story is really common. I see all of this information, and there is a very strong push for HRT for women with very little regard for their lifestyle, their hormone status, their environment, their nutrition, their sleep. Like, we don't look at any of that. It's a prescription that's often given. And for some women, they say it's life-changing. For me, I really struggle when we're not looking at these other factors. So to me, it's not this and that or this or that. It's what do we need to do to get your body to be where it needs to be, and maybe using hormones or whatever as icing on the cake. But there is a very strong push for it, and I feel really sad for women who either they know that it doesn't feel like it's the right thing for them, maybe they can't take it, like I said, they don't want to take it, or they want to come off it. That's the other thing. At what point do they stop? This is what I do. I help women that don't want to be on HRT, right? That's my specialty. I'm not a medical doctor. My training is very different to that, but I've studied medicine in a different capacity. I did what any smart person would do. I went on to ChatGPT and I typed in, what is more protective, HRT or exercise? And it came back and said, without question, the most protective thing you can do is exercise for bone health and brain health and muscular health. The answers are right in front of us, but we're still trying to shortcut things. And this is where I get really worried. Women will just do that and that alone, and not the exercise and not the nutrition, not the sleep. And it's heartbreaking, to be honest.
Because they want the quick fix. They want to feel better. I totally get it. Start before you're there. Get ready for it. Do your research.
Yeah, don't use you can use ChatGPT if you want. But I was trying to use ChatGPT for my advantage, because I know what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I want to actually look and go, well, hang on, what does the collective evidence say?
There are a whole lot of us that are not doing HRT and are being told that we've got dire outcomes if we're not on it. What about the women that aren't on it? Where's the support for us?
Yeah, the thing is there is plenty. We've just got to put ourselves out there and start to talk about it
and
to
look
find
outside the box, you know? So, okay.
It can be very confronting though. Thinking outside the box, it can feel very lonely and very like judgmental, and every now and again you think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I know that's true for a lot of patients because we're very used to being told this is what you need to do, which works for about 12% of people.
Yeah, exactly.